Speaking of things I hate about the current conversation, particularly when it comes to Star Wars, I'm going to start this off. There will be a content warning on this part of our discussion because we're going to have to deal with some uncomfortable and traumatic themes of assault of a certain kind. And you have to be really careful about how you say this because it's a really good way just to get obliterated on social media.
Okay.
If you say it, like...
You're warning me more than you're warning anyone else.
Well, yes, but also I want people to know, like, when we were talking about this on social media this week, a bunch of people are like, why do they just keep saying SA? Why don't they say the whole thing? And it's because if we say the whole thing, our Facebook like thing could just
we will get
disappear
nuked from orbit.
Yeah, like
Mark Zuckerberg will train his satellite laser specifically on the basement we're sitting in and just obliterate us.
And now, do I appreciate at least Facebook overcompensates on SA on the right side of protecting people? Okay, I just wish they did the same for fucking Nazis. Wouldn't that be fucking great?
On the side of the opposite of protecting them.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that they are extraordinarily sensitive about the topic of SA.
Yeah.
So they tend to over nuke, right? And I think probably in the end that ends up protecting some people that it needs to protect, like victims. That they don't need to log onto Facebook and read about shit like that or having threats of that shit, you know.
Anyway, we have taken a sharp left turn. Let's get back on track.
I'm going to read to you a tweet by our favorite Star Wars fan and a fan gatekeeper of Star Wars Theory.
Oh, God.
This was also just a bit of context. This was off of the heels of last week's Andor episodes, in which the third episode,
3 specifically, yep.
One of the characters, which by the way, if you want to read our review and recap, you can go check out last week's episode.
Watch, not read. I don't think we wrote a single word about it.
Yeah, you know what? Just get the fuck off my ass. So go check that out. But a character, there's an attempted essay, and then he dies. So Star Wars Theory said in his tweet, essay in Star Wars feels unnecessary. You can portray power dynamics and making the audience hate the Empire in other ways without taking it to such a disgusting place. Vader wouldn't tolerate that shit, nor does the Empire condone it. It has no place in Star Wars, period, unnecessary. So, hold on.
He comes so close.
The point's like right there.
So close to making a good point.
Yeah. So,
and then because he's Star Wars Theory, he goes into fucking La La Land.
Right. Yeah.
And
let's set something very clear. Star Wars Theory does not give a fuck about women's issues. He cares about bitching about Star Wars. That's his whole grift, right? That's the only thing he exists to do.
That's how he makes money.
Right. If news came out that they like intentionally avoided an essay scene to make it easier for audiences, he would have criticized that, right? Like, it doesn't matter what side it was on, he was gonna bitch about it anyway, because that's what Star Wars Theory is, fucking professional bitcher of Star Wars. So here we are. Now, here's where we agree, at least where I agree with Star Wars Theory, but not in the way he thinks. There first of all, should have been a content warning on the episode.
Yes.
Which we know Disney has the ability to do because they did it on an episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi that showed some violence against children.
Yeah.
And they put a content warning on. So we know that they have the ability to do it.
We know that they've done it in the past. We know that they know what a content warning is.
Right. Now, the fact that they didn't is very weird to me. And I really wish that someone had thought of the idea at least. So here's the other thing.
Because like they don't just show an attempted SA, they describe it as what it is.
Yeah, which also...
Like, they say a 4-letter word that is maybe not...
the R word.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? There's a part of that I kind of respected.
Yeah.
That they called it for what it was. And it's, you know... But that being said, people going into it that they're victims of this act didn't have the opportunity to avoid it.
Yeah.
Which they should have had. Like, that should have been...
Or at least like a forewarning that it was going to happen before it happened.
Yeah. Also, where we agree, male filmmakers do seem to kind of go back to the essay well a little too frequently to make someone very evil.
It's a trope that's used to show that a character is irredeemably evil, that you should have zero sympathy for them, and that their defeat and destruction is completely justified.
Right. And male filmmakers do this a lot. Now, will you ever hear Star Wars Theory say this?
Probably not.
No, because it's critical of men. And he is the Andrew Tate wannabe of the Star Wars community. So here's where Star Wars theory is unredeemably a piece of shit and an idiot, allegedly. To defend the morality of Darth Vader is absolutely insane. To say that Darth Vader, previous owner of the Youngling Slayer 9000, who sent an entire group of children to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, to think that he would draw the line at SA and be like, nope, not doing that. It's just fucking insane.
The only way I could see him having even the slightest qualm about it is if a victim looked slightly like Padme.
Yeah. And you know what? That isn't even to say that, like, that activity is Darth Vader's, like, thing that he likes to do.
He doesn't go out on Friday nights and actively seek it out. Like,
right.
But if it happens, I don't think he gives a shit.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
To defend the morality of the Empire and to say it, and I quote, Vader wouldn't tolerate this shit as a hypothetical, and then nor does the Empire, as if he is the appointed fucking spokesman of the Galactic Empire. He's fucking Kellyanne Conway. Yes. He's come out on a show that we know now is
no, call him Anthony Scaramucci because that's funnier.
Yeah, right. The guys, I've spoken to I've spoken to the Emperor, and we want you to know that our position is that the Empire does not condone this. Also, absolutely fucking insane.
He completely misses the point of Star Wars and the Empire in specific, because the horror of fascism is that nobody cares. Like, nobody cares about the terrible things that are done to achieve their desired ends. Yep. All that matters is the ends. And the extra horror of fascism is that there is no one that you can resort to get justice. Yeah. Like, the courts are weakened beyond the point of their existence.
Just ineffective, yeah.
Yeah. There is nothing
you jail
and no
judges.
one to go to if you're a victim of an abuse of power. And in a situation like that, why would people with power not abuse it? Because there's no reason not to. Right. There is no punishment
there's no safeguard, right? Yeah.
Them.
So let's not be mistaken about this. Star Wars theory is disinterested in violence against women, unless he can use it to bitch about Star Wars. And I made a post on Reddit this week and asked people to share their recollections of every time Star Wars theory has said something disgusting about women. And this is not even an exhaustive list on that thread. I stopped keeping track. He attacked Charmin Obaid-Chinoy for standing up for women's rights. He once published a video titled, "My Thoughts on It's Time for Women to Shape Star Wars... Ugh, go away." In addition to tons of other videos platforming the most misogynistic people in history, including someone who claimed that women can't be Star Wars fans, that Star Wars is not for women, not for girls. He attacked fucking Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained, accusing Alex of hiding behind his woman. And tons of other examples of this. And there's also the one other part of this, and this is the thing, is that we've had this discourse with people who are entering in good faith about it, about whether or not this belongs in Star Wars, or whether or not it was necessary in the moment for the story. And I almost agree with all of the points given, with the exception that the person that was doing the attempted essay was a fucking cop. And this is what cops do. And if you don't believe me, the number one problem with reports of police misconduct, the first is excessive force, and right behind it in second place are allegations of abuse of this nature. This is what fucking cops do. He was a cop. It was more likely to happen than not. And so whether or not it goes on Disney Plus, which we agree is mostly a platform for children, whether or not it belongs in Star Wars, whether or not this is a problem with male filmmakers, these are all valuable conversations to have with people who are entering into the conversation with good faith. But let me tell you, Star Wars Theory is not entering into this conversation with good faith. He's a fucking grifter. He's disgusting. He should shut the fuck up about women's issues because he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about.